Hey, coffee friends. Welcome back to Bean on the Brain. Today, we're diving into one of the most scientifically satisfying brew methods I've ever seen, the UX method. We might have to come up with a different name for it, but that's what they call it, so we're going to stick with it for now. It's a technique that was cooked up by a family of scientists over Christmas break. And spoiler alert, it involves a magnetic stir. Yes, like one of those that you might have seen in a chemistry lab. You're not going to want to miss this. Okay, here's what we're looking at and what you'll need. I think you should have a double walled glass brewer with a lid, though you don't need that. You will need something made of glass because a double walled metal canister will not work for this. Then you need the magnetic stir with the stir bar. Why do you need the stir bar? Because otherwise you're going to have a difficult time fishing out your magnetic stir after the coffee grounds have settled at the bottom. Trust me, it's a lot easier. Then, of course, your favorite coffee to your liking, a kettle to heat the water straight up to boiling because you're going to lose a lot of heat as you pour it into the glass and as it spins, a scale to make sure you get that proper amount of water, and of course, your curiosity because this method is part experiment and it's part meditation. Now, I think there's also a business opportunity in here. In fact, with all of the brewers that are out there, I think this could make a compelling kit. I always see I'm into the health space as well. So I'll see all these like put together cold plunges by all these different companies. And I think to myself, like, it would be pretty cool to put the scale, the glass, the double walled glass, all the stuff that you might need right into one little kit and talk about this as the next brewer. I guess we'll have to wait for someone to do it on the Brewer's Cup to really get some excitement out there. Before we start, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like pour over was just unpredictable? Like some days it sings and it's like the best thing you've ever tasted, and other days it's just meh. It's because cone brewers, even though Lance and a lot of people will say they're amazing, it's because they're so good and they're so consistent at it. But if you're brewing once a day, it can take so long to get good at brewing with those. And if you're tired in the morning, you can just not be ready to do it. And really, the scientist, what he says, they're out of control systems. The UX method flips that on its head by separating the variables. You control the temperature, the grind, the extraction time. It's like coffee brewing finally grew up and went to graduate school. All right, I'm going to take you through it step by step. First off, we're going to use 15 grams of coffee to 250 grams of water. It's a classic 1 to 16.666 or 1 to 16.7 ratio. Heat your water up. I like to do it straight off boil because I'm using a light roast coffee. The recommendation in the method, which I'll link those in the show notes, is 93 degrees Celsius. Then set your magnetic stir on a flat surface. Place the stir bar inside the vessel, then pour in your hot water. Here's where the magic happens. You crank it up to around 1100 RPM so you get a nice whirlpool. I don't like the whirlpool to go all the way to the bottom, but it looks so cool when the vortex drops down like a tornado towards the magnetic stir, and you got to have it centered on your plate. It's just one of those things that's fun to watch. All right, step 2. Watch this as I drop in the coffee. You're going to see it disperse immediately. Now, with my double-walled device here, it's a little tough to get in there. This is why if I made a kit, I'd have so much fun designing the double-walled device that would hold the coffee, because I'd have it perfect with my blind shaker and I could just blind shake it right in there. It sort of works with the blind shaker, but you tend to get some on the walls. So again, I'd want it perfect if I was making it. You certainly don't have to. You'll see some grounds on the walls, but I do a pretty good job. No bloom drama though with this. No need to stir with a spoon. And we're extracting every particle because that whirlpool is exposing each grind to the same conditions. Have you ever tried a method that doesn't need a pour pattern or pulse pouring? I certainly had never before this. I had seen, of course, French press, but I was never really a fan of it. There was something about the mouthfeel that just wasn't for me. I wondered if this could replace your daily V60 or what you thought. Maybe it's too much faff again. Maybe once someone else refines it, it'll be even better. One thing I don't want to forget about is put the lid on once you get the whirlpool going. Helps lock in the aroma, minimizes the convection, so the loss of heat, and it keeps the fine swirling back up later, which is great. If you notice here, I've got something that's optional as well. I've got the Finesweeper. I'll have a little bit of, I'll walk you through it step by step how you make a Finesweeper from your V60 filter if you want that. Basically, you're taking out some of the fines as they swirl around. They get stuck in the V60. Now, of course, you can filter it out at the end if you want to by pouring it through, although that can stall because you're pouring so much in so quickly, and they tend to be the ones that are still suspended in the water as you pour it through. Up to you. This is just what I prefer. It gets enough of the fines out for me to have the mouthfeel that I prefer while still preserving that clarity, which is something I really value in my brews. Now, this is the best part of it, the brew time. I'm brewing this for about 2 minutes. You can experiment based on your roast. Lighter roasts settle faster, darker ones bloom more and may need a nudge. Stirring during the brew ensures the uniform, hence the name UX. So that's where the UX comes from. This is stirring in there. So if you could build, let me ask you this. If you could build the perfect brew method from scratch, what would you include? Would you have stirring, vacuum insulation? I'd love to hear some in the comments. Like what is perfect? I often thought the brewer that just went defunct, and someone will have to remember it, but it had this like double vacuum batch brew that I was like, man, that is such cool technology, the way that it really gets everything you can out of the grounds. I think that's such a unique way of doing it. All right, step 4, settling down. Now we're entering the Zen part, letting the grounds settle. So you keep the lid on, minimal convection now. It's stopped spinning, steady temperature. If you want to get extra nerdy, you'll see this in the video that you can angle it at 30 degrees, take advantage of the boycott effect. That helps the particles settle faster along the incline walls. I don't, I think the suggestion was just popping it into a saucepan at an angle. Science and simplicity, right together. Okay, let's talk again about the Finesweeper. Here's what you need to do. Rip a V60 filter, fold it, and then trap it under the lid. It acts basically like a coffee catching jellyfish. No liquid has to pass through it, so it won't clog. It just sweeps up little stuff and gets stuck in there. Step 5, when things look clear, and you can use a flashlight at first to sort of help you out as to when you should pour things out at first. You put in your tea strainer, or if you want to go through a filter again, you can, and pour it out. So up to you. You can use the filter paper. I have tried that before. It definitely is cleaner, but I found if you pour slowly through a tea strainer, it gets the large particles. And if I use the Finesweeper, that right balance that I enjoy. And there it is, the UX method. Scientific, simple, and shockingly satisfying. Could this be a daily driver, or is there cafe innovation here? I'm not sure. It certainly is fun to look at. Again, if I was more ambitious, I think I might put a kit together, because it's not hard to put it together on Amazon. Certainly the parts aren't hard to come by. They're just readily available on there. The vessel is the double-walled glass container that I use. It's nice for tea too, so I've enjoyed that. Found a pretty cheap stir on Amazon as well. So I think packaging it together, refining some of those rough edges, like the straining part of it, or having it come with, selling the Finesweepers. I just think those are little things that help people when they're using something on a daily basis. Thanks again so much, and we'll see you on the next video.